Welcome to my YouTube channel, TSS, The Silent Screams. Today's story is The Whispering Walls. The Whispering Walls. In the small town of Eldridge Hollow, there stood an old Victorian house that the townsfolk referred to as the Greyson Manor. For decades, it had been shunned, shrouded in tales of mystery and dread. Local children dared each other to approach it, but no one ever entered, until a group of friends decided to investigate. On a cold October night, fueled by bravado and a desire for thrills, Jake, Mia, Sam, and Lily approached the crumbling facade of Greyson Manor. The wind howled, carrying with it a whisper that seemed to call their names. They pushed open the creaking door, which groaned in protest, as if warning them to turn back. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the scent of decay. Faded portraits lined the walls, their subjects' eyes seeming to follow the group as they ventured deeper into the house. Mia found an old diary on a dusty table, its pages yellowed and fragile. As she read aloud, the entries spoke of a family tormented by strange occurrences, objects moving, whispers in the night, and shadows that danced in the corners of their vision. "Let's split up," Jake suggested, emboldened by the darkness. "We'll cover more ground." Reluctantly, they agreed. Mia and Sam went upstairs, while Jake and Lily explored the basement. The air grew colder, and an oppressive silence enveloped them. Jake flicked on his flashlight, illuminating cobwebs that clung like ghosts in the corners. In the distance, they heard a soft, low whispering. "Did you hear that?" Lily asked, her voice trembling. Meanwhile, upstairs, Mia and Sam stumbled upon a locked door. Sam, ever the brave one, picked at the lock until it clicked open. Inside, they found a child's room, untouched by time, but filled with an unsettling energy. The walls seemed to thrum with a heartbeat of their own. A doll sat in the corner, its eyes unnaturally bright. As Mia reached for it, a cold breeze swept through the room, and the door slammed shut behind them. "Sam?" Mia's voice quivered. The whispers grew louder, swirling around them, murmuring unintelligibly. Panic set in. Sam banged on the door, but it wouldn't budge. Just as despair washed over them, a figure appeared in the darkness. A small girl in a tattered dress, her eyes hollow and pleading. "Help me," she whispered. But before they could respond, she vanished, leaving only the echo of her sorrow. Back in the basement, Jake and Lily felt the atmosphere shift. The whispering intensified, now clearly saying, "Get out!" They turned to flee, but the stairs had transformed into a swirling vortex of shadows. They stumbled back, feeling hands grasping at them, pulling them toward the dark. Mia and Sam finally managed to force the door open, gasping for air as they rejoined Jake and Lily. They rushed towards the exit, but the house had other plans. The walls seemed to close in, the air thickening with a sense of dread. Shadows twisted and flickered, taking on monstrous shapes. As they reached the front door, it slammed shut before them. "We're trapped!" Jake shouted. The whispers crescendoed into anguished cries, drowning out their panic. They turned to face the room, and there, in the flickering light, stood the ghostly figure of the girl, now joined by others, lost souls, their faces twisted in agony. "Leave this place," she wailed, her voice piercing through the chaos. "We can't escape." With no other choice, the group huddled together and sprinted towards the nearest window, shattering the glass with a desperate leap. They tumbled into the night, the cool air enveloping them as they hit the ground outside. Panting, they looked back at the manor. It loomed ominously, the whispers fading into the wind. But the eyes of the portraits still watched, forever capturing their terror. The group swore never to return, but the haunting of Greyson Manor had etched itself into their souls. From that night on, the townsfolk noticed a change. Shadows flickered in the windows, and faint cries echoed through the streets at night. The house was never truly empty. It remained alive with the whispers of those who had entered, forever drawn to its dark embrace. After that night, Jake, Mia, Sam, and Lily thought they had left Greyson Manor's horrors behind. But months later, each of them began to notice something strange. Shadows flickered in their homes, faint whispers echoed through empty rooms, and they would often catch glimpses of someone, a small girl in a tattered dress, lurking just out of sight. One evening, desperate to understand what was happening, they met up to talk about it. Each of them confessed the same eerie encounters and agreed they had to go back to Greyson Manor to put an end to the haunting. They arrived at the spot where the house once stood, but found only an empty lot, as if the house had never existed at all. Confused, they wandered the grounds, hoping to find some clue. That's when they saw it, one lone, broken mirror leaning against an old, decaying tree. As they approached, they saw themselves reflected, but not as they were now. In the mirror, their reflections wore blank, empty expressions. Their eyes hollow, haunted, and pleading. Realization hit. They hadn't escaped Greyson Manor at all. They had left their own souls behind, trapped in the house, while only empty shells returned to Eldridge Hollow. Now, staring into the mirror, they saw that the whispers had always been their own cries for help, echoing in the darkness. One by one, their reflections faded, their last breaths swallowed by the cold silence of Greyson Manor. If you liked this story, then like video and subscribe to the channel. And you can also share your story with me.